The thing about addiction is it's the only disease that has to be self-diagnosed. Behind closed doors, it was a very dark part of, my life. I had a grandfather that was sexually abusing me. I was actually protecting my family because I didn't want anybody to think bad about my family. I was willing to take the hit. I can summarize it real quick. I drank alcohol and I did drugs because I wanted to feel like y'all looked.
Well, if you're enjoying Table Talk, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and remember to click that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest posts. So are you trapped in secret addiction? Well, today's guest lived that life for decades until Jesus led him into freedom in the last place he ever expected, a prison cell. But before we get to that, I've got your attention. Joining me around the table is April Simons, a great testimony today.
You got my attention from felony to forgiveness. We've never had that on here.
Right,
before.
felony to forgiveness. I love it.
I can't wait to hear the story.
Anna Kendall, how are you?
I'm excited about this story. People are going to be set free.
We're all flowing in the pink today. Rachel, Michelle, Lamb,
Hello.
Brown,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. And man, I'm so glad that Jesus doesn't give up on us and that
Amen.
no matter how many times you fall down, all you have to do is get back up.
Yeah.
And he is waiting, ready to receive you with open arms.
One
and that's
step.
the story of our guest.
I have to tell you a funny story.
What?
So I talked to my mother this morning.
Oh, I already know what it's going to be like.
I talk to her every morning, and she watched the show this morning. And of course, we pre-record, and then shows air from all over the place. And you must have had your hair straight this morning. She just said, "Would you please tell Rachel I like a little curl in her hair?" So, Mom, are you happy, Mom, that she watches South
There it
Carolina?
is.
There it is right there. Moms are amazing, aren't they,
Yes,
Dorothy?
they are. They just tell you like it is.
Especially when they're in their 80s. They will say whatever they
And
need to say.
I look forward to that day when I
Mom,
can
I
take the filter off. It is on right now.
But right now, you got to leave it on, girl. Okay. Cindy Johnston, how are you?
Hey, Joni, doing great. Excited about this testimony. I love the fact that when God sent Jesus, Jesus didn't come to condemn us. We tend to condemn each other, but he didn't. And he came to love us, and no matter where we've done or what we've done or where we've been, he is there to help us.
Yep, what we've done.
And I'm one
where
of
we've
those
done
that
it,
help.
whatever.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
That's good. Well, he's a celebrated recovery coach and a podcast host. Please welcome Michael Molthan. Come on in, Michael.
Come on in.
Hi, ladies.
Hey there.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Well, this ought to be interesting.
This ought to be interesting. Are you ready? The question
I
is,
don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think you would do fine. After one too many arrests, Michael Molthan found himself locked in a cell with a convicted killer. Well, today he's here to share how God met him at his lowest point, turning rock bottom into holy ground. Do you realize how many people I've interviewed over the last 30 years with these kind of testimonies? And it is always amazing to me how God can take a life that is broken, I mean, that the world had given up on.
Yes.
And he can reach down and just redeem it, save it, wash it clean.
Turn it around.
And that's what he wants to do for you today. Okay, so stay right there. Welcome.
Thank you.
So good to have you.
Yeah, God can take our mess and turn it into a ministry, right?
Well, he takes our mess and turns it into a message.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, okay, so tell us, growing up, you grew up in an affluent home.
I did.
kind of The Golden Spoon.
I
Like
did.
everything's great. What happened?
I did. I grew up in the country clubs, and what happened? Yeah, it's like, what happened to you? I grew up, my dad was a hard worker, and everything was provided. Outside the home, everything appeared to be normal.
Yeah.
The country club and playing golf. Had a brand new car when I was 16 in Plano. And then behind closed doors, it was a very dark and a confusing part of, my life. I had a grandfather that was sexually abusing me from kindergarten to 5th grade. I have a mom that was, battling a substance abuse. I believe she was. The thing about addiction is it's the only disease that has to be self-diagnosed. That's what's so frustrating about it. But I recognize the behaviors.
Well, did you tell anyone what was going on with your grandfather? This was your mother's father.
That's correct.
And so
I didn't.
Did he tell you better not say anything or anything like that?
Never did. Thanks for asking that. No, he never did. There was never a threat. It was just known that I wasn't going to say anything.
Was he, did he have a problem with addiction as well?
Oh, yes. He was a raging alcoholic.
Oh,
and he
my
actually
goodness.
he died of this disease of throat cancer, from alcoholism. And
So as a little boy, what were you thinking when this was happening to you?
two things. I was protecting my brother, number one, because I didn't want him to go after my brother. Number two I was actually protecting my family because I didn't want anybody to think bad about my family outside the house.
Yeah.
So I was willing to take the hit, and to take on that pain and that suffering in order for nobody else to have the pain and suffering.
Did you then start to make some bad choices at that point?
I had my first drink when I was 10 years old.
And where was God in all this, by the way? Like, did you
he's
ever
nowhere.
did you go to church or?
No. There were
Okay.
times where, I'd go to church. I'll never forget, I went to a church camp, a weekend camp in the 5th grade, and I got in trouble because I was teaching people how to gamble, and teaching people how to pinch pennies and won all the pennies, and I got in trouble after that. I always was thinking, being curious if there was a God out there. I wasn't an atheist.
Yeah.
I was a true agnostic, but I was so addicted to the world and the culture. What the world and the culture had to offer is what I was addicted to.
So even though you had some kind of secret addictions going on even through high school, and there were other doors of opportunity that began to open, right? Yeah. As far as like golf and...
I was a good golfer. For a long time, alcohol and drugs worked for me.
Yeah.
It eased that pain and suffering, and it gave me that sense of ease and comfort until it stopped working.
Because you don't realize that that's what you're trying to deal with, is what happened with the grandfather.
Yeah.
And so to deal with the pain, the alcohol and drugs helps with that, right?
I can summarize it real quick. I drank alcohol and I did drugs because I wanted to feel like y'all looked. I wanted to feel like everybody around me looked. Then I continued to drink alcohol and do drugs towards the end because I wanted to feel good about the bad decisions I was making.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how this disease is progressive.
Yeah.
But everyone's an addict.
Yeah.
We think of drugs and alcohol, but addiction is seeking visible things to try to fix our invisible problems.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So seeking visible things to fix invisible problems. And you said earlier that an addict is someone, well, how did you say it? That
What
it
is
can be-
addiction? The definition of addiction is, and I can get real deep on this. This is what's really cool about this. Addiction is the street name for spiritual stronghold. Okay, that is the truth. Addiction is a person, place, thing, and here's a scary one, ladies, or a thought that has become my source.
That has
So it's an
become your
idol.
source.
It's become my source.
It's become an idol.
An idol. That's exactly
And
right.
it's kind of sitting on the throne of your heart instead of God.
And it's a
'Cause
mental
he has to
obsession.
sit there, yeah. Okay, so you then became a caddy for like a...
I was a caddy for one of the most well-known golfers at the time. I was a bookie on the tour. It was rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the country clubs. I grew up in real estate. I grew up, around home building. So I knew that's where I was going to go. I'm very creative, very artistic, articulate. I've always loved architecture. I've always loved that. And then when I got off the road in 1995, I went into the home building business. And
you were successful.
I was very successful. I became one of the most well-known high-end luxury home builders in the Park Cities in Dallas and across the country.
Well, at some point, though, the addiction would cross over and affect your work, right?
Well, work was my addiction. Power was my addiction. Success was my addiction. All these visible things, everything that I thought that defined me was my addiction, but there was that dark hole. I've always heard people say there was that dark hole that I was always trying to fill inside.
Did you ever feel happy?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
All the things you thought would bring you happiness.
Never. There was just something missing. I would have moments of euphoria,
Right.
but that true peace and comfort and happiness is something, and I still struggle with it today, you know, but there are times where happiness, you know, the closest to God I've ever been in my entire life was prison.
So you ended up getting arrested, get your first mugshot. And what was it over?
So I got pulled over. I was going at a high rate of speed. I was intoxicated and had a lot of cocaine in my car, in my possession. See, an addict will say, I had a lot of cocaine. Somebody who's not an addict go, oh, I just didn't have any and it wasn't mine. But we like to, you know, glamorize it.
Okay.
But that was my first charge. And when I got taken down to Lusterik Justice Center in Dallas, I went down there and I arrived at a place I said I would never go. And I'm like, oh, I'm 40-something years old.
And you're like, this is not ever going to happen again.
Never, ever, and I meant it.
And what happened after
And
that?
I got bonded out, so I was nervous, I was anxious, I had to knock the edge off, you know.
Who got you out?
My dad did at the time. And we didn't even know how to do this. I mean, this is so foreign to us. And so I was going through a horrible divorce and at the time, and then went back to my apartment. I said, I just need to knock the edge off. Got to remove the anxiety. I could die from alcohol detox. You know, all these games that I play in my head.
Even though you had just told yourself, I will never do this again.
And I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I'm in it. And I took one sip of alcohol and I was drunk high again that night. And then 26 mugshots later, a total of 27 mugshots of being on the run, homeless. And I would hear these stories, the guy who had everything, you know, and then become homeless, living behind the dumpster. I was in a stolen Suburban, living behind the dumpster at the bait shop 300 miles away.
So when you say 27 mugshots, that mean you went to prison 27 times?
27 arrests.
No,
Yeah.
27 arrests. He's going to prison just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so 27 mugshots. And tell us about the judge there in Dallas.
So Judge Jennifer Bennett, who's my professional photographer,
Yes.
and you know,
Is she still a judge?
oh yeah, she still you know,
wow.
sits behind the bench. We're,
Hello, Judge. Good job on that.
we are very close friends, and you know, we talk weekly. And
Wow.
we have our little dog and pony show, you know, going. In fact, the last time she was up for re-election, no one even ran against her.
Yeah.
You know, because of how our story has made such public impact.
Okay, so you go before her, but you're not friends at this point.
No, we're not friends. You know, and she was hard on me. She was very hard on me. And then she finally, after my 27th arrest, says, you gonna mind somebody, you gonna mind me. And she had been chasing me all up and down Interstate 35 in Texas. And
For 27 pictures.
for 27 pictures.
Because you wouldn't show up for
I wouldn't show up
parole.
for court, probation violations. I was still drinking. I was still doing drugs. I disrespected
You
her.
were just out of control.
Totally disrespected her.
Okay, so what did she say? What did she sentence you to?
Well, she sentenced me to 2 years of prison, but I had been incarcerated many times in between that. So out of 6 years, I was incarcerated for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so,
But before she did the 2-year sentence, you were actually in a different tank waiting
that's correct.
to
So,
be.
yeah, I was waiting for her.
Be
Meanwhile,
sentenced.
her dad was real sick, so I didn't see her for a long time. So on May 29th, when I got arrested on my 27th mugshot, I had met an inmate. I got misdiagnosed. They diagnose you when they send you into prison. They put the child molesters in one tank, and they put the alternative lifestyle in one tank, the misdemeanors. You get the gist.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then they put the murderers in one tank, and the assault people, and they put me in that tank.
In the murderer tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm like, how'd this happen? So I'm in a tube, because mine were all just, you know, drug charges, alcohol charges, which are bad. It's a crime. And so I'm in this 2-man tank, and out of 24 hours, they let you out, you know, maybe 2.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And my cellie, which is my cellmate, my roommate, however you want to call it, is a 75-year-old man from Oak Cliff that he'd been back on a bench warrant, and they called him Ooh Wee. And so he was my celly, and I was pacing around the day room all the time. They called me Rabbit, you know, because you don't use your free world name. So they called me Rabbit.
Because you couldn't stay still.
I couldn't stay still.
Yeah.
I was so in my head. I was detoxing. I had no drugs, alcohol. I mean, I was just on the gas. And I'd just be pacing in the day room, just doing laps. And Uwe said, hey, look out, Rabbit, come here. You're making a lot of people nervous in here. And you're making me nervous. And he goes, if you don't learn how to do easy time, they're going to chew you off the bone in prison. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, you're doing hard time. And what he was saying was, I was in my head and I was out in that world. I was out in that world. And these guys are teaching this educated, very smart businessman life, you know? And what he was telling me was, and I learned that when I'm in my head, it taught me about why I drank and did drugs. Because when I go into the future alone in my head, I get fearful, I get anxious. Look at y'all nodding your heads. See, y'all aren't alcoholics, but y'all can relate to this. So we don't like that feeling. What do? We shift the view. So we go to the past. So when I go to the past, I get depressed, resentful, angry. So I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Meanwhile, I'm right here, right now. In order to ease the pain and suffering, what do? If I don't have Christ, I start seeking visible things to try to slow this down.
So what happened with Uwe?
So Uwe simply asked me to read to him. And there was a book that was in prison that somebody gave it to me, written by Dr. Tony Evans,
And
Detours.
the name of it was?
Detours. And it was the story of Joseph.
But Uwe, you know, somebody gave you the book and you just kind of threw it aside.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
right.
said,
I just threw it on my bunk, and Uwe goes, ooh, what is that? And I said, it's a book. They just gave it to me. He says, well, what's it say? I'm like, what do you mean? It says Detours. He says, well, who wrote it? I'm like, Dr. Tony Evans, you know what I mean? And he's like, I go, here, you can have it. I'm not gonna read it. And he goes, I can't read or write. Will you please read it to me? I've never heard anybody say that, ever. This guy's 75 years old. So I start reading it to him, and it's the story of Joseph. And I could really relate to this story on the betrayal and the abandonment. And people will go, man, you have the story of Job and Joseph, Michael. There's a lot of similarities, but the difference was they had faith in God, I didn't. And that was the difference.
But there were seeds that were planted as
Yes.
you were reading to Uwe. Did it affect him as well as you?
Oh, yeah.
So
because
then-
we were doing easy time.
So what happened as you began to read to him? Were there others that were interested?
So there were others that were interested. Then I started taking notes, and that's when they started seeing my unique handwriting. After the show, I'll write your name if you want me to in handwriting. They started seeing my handwriting, and so
And you're left-handed.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
And so as I'm writing this, and then I'm reading, I asked another inmate if I could borrow his Bible, because there was these things in the book Detours that said, like, John 6:14. I'm like, what does this mean? You know? And so then it said, like,
John?
it's like, yeah, like, who's John? Who's Matthew, Mark,
Paul?
Luke, Paul? And he was asking those questions. He says, oh, I love me some Paul. He's straight up gangster. I'm like, who's Paul? You know? So I'm like in this Bible, and here I am. And so God has just taken this, I'm in a whole different culture. And God is using uneducated, illiterate men to transform my life, to be sitting here with y'all having this conversation.
Yeah.
And so as the story progresses, it gets gooder. It gets gooder.
It does.
As it progresses, I'm wanting more, okay? Because now, one thing you can't overdose on is Jesus.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can't overdose on Jesus. And so as I'm sitting here, I'm wanting more and more and more, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, I'm gonna find out who this John cat is, and John here, and I'm borrowing this. So every night, I would give this Bible back to this inmate who let me borrow it, who I eventually bought the Bible from him for 11 soups, which is $11.
Yeah.
And so as I'm reading,
Because the guys were paying you to
they were
write.
paying me to write letters to their
Letters.
family members, but the
Yeah.
rule was, my boundary was, they had to be nice letters.
Yeah.
You know, it couldn't be like running game. And so as I'm doing that, so I'll never forget, so remember I was apprehended on May 29, 2017. On July 7th, 2017, I wake up in my top bunk, and this is me having these conversations with this Jesus cat. You know, I'm like talking to him. All right, Jesus, if you're real, man, talk to me. And like, you know, make something move, make a cup move, or do something.
I love that part, by the way, that someone who doesn't really know how to pray the prayer,
Yes, yeah.
but they just say, okay, Jesus, if you're there,
I'm just having a conversation with them.
I need something.
Just like I'm talking to y'all.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't, and so just, all right, come into my life, and all these
But
reckless,
I
meant it, these reckless prayers, because something was happening. And I woke up and it wasn't medical, but my chest was so tight. It was so tight. And I took this deep breath in like this, and I exhaled. And as I exhaled, I wasn't, because I worked so much, I was never a movie watcher, but the movie Green Mile, I did see that with Tom Hanks. And I remember all the flies and all the poison coming out. But all I felt when I exhaled was all this anger, resentment, rage, and hate. I had so much of that in me, just coming out of my body. I take this deep breath in. I mean, just deep breath in. Every time I tell the story, I get emotional. Deep breath in, it's like ice water in my body. And it was so much love. And I mean, I'm like going, man, I love that guard. I love that person. I love that person. I love that person. The diabetics were walking across at 4 a.m. to go get their shots. The inmates who were diabetic, I'm like, I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. And
It was like, I told you earlier, it's like liquid love.
liquid love. I love that. I'm gonna borrow that.
Liquid love that Jesus poured into your
It
heart.
was, and it
filled you
still
up.
is.
Yeah.
And I chased that. So that first drinking drug, my whole life I've been chasing that feeling. Today, I chase the feeling of that liquid love.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, so then what happened after that? Because there's going to be another big thing that happens where God's working in and through you, and more of the inmates are being touched as a result.
They are, and as I'm reading this stuff, I'm creating this content, and so I would speak to the inmates at night at dinner, not preach, speak, and I'd say, hey, check this out, guys. Today I realize, and that's my devotional book that I'm in the process of writing right now. Today I realize, God is all I need because he's all I have. And then I'll do a devotional underneath that. But it's seeing life through God's perspective today, not the world or the culture.
Right.
See, God doesn't need me, I need him.
Right.
And so as the story goes on, and I'm in this new tank 300 miles away that I had been transferred to, the guy comes up to me and he says, what are you doing? And I said, well, you can read it or write. And he's like, I said, okay, I see you. So I'm starting all over again in a whole new tank, 300 miles.
Because he couldn't read either.
He couldn't read either.
So you start reading to him. You started a whole new tank.
And there were some guys in there in that tank that could read, but so people just started hanging out with me. It was about my handwriting. For some reason, that was the hook.
Yeah.
People like the handwriting.
Yeah. We got to show everybody what the handwriting looks like. So we're going to get him to write something. So
I'll
we can
do
show you.
that.
Okay, so then there was another really pivotal moment for you that was life-changing.
So on October 12th, I'm studying the book of Matthew, and I'd go to the back and I'd look up like forgiveness, because I wanted to know about forgiveness that I forgave. And, people go, Michael, you need to forgive the people who had hurt you. Pray for them for 2 weeks and it'll go away. Okay, I can do that. God, please give them pancreatic cancer so they die this miserable death. I can do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the way to forgive.
That's right.
But because that didn't work, it ended me up in the prison.
Yeah.
But when I truly read Matthew 6:14 and 15, and this is my translation, it says, when I forgive the ones who have hurt me, okay? I truly do. Next verse, God says, I'll bless your game. I will perform the supernatural. And when I did that, and how do you forgive? How did I forgive?
And who did you have to forgive?
The people who had harmed me. So we'll use my grandfather just to add color to the story, okay? So me forgiving my grandfather, I had to accept the role that I played in it. Wait a minute.
Right.
You played a role in your grandfather sexually abusing you? I sure did. And the role I played in it was I chose to hold on to the forgiveness, the anger, and the rage.
The unforgiveness.
The unforgiveness. And when I did that,
You held on to it.
I held on to it. And when I let that go, the next day, they literally opened up the jail cell and set me free.
Wow.
They called over the speaker and said, what did they say?
They said, Michael Molthan, bunk and junk. That means you get your bunk, you get your junk,
And
they released me from prison.
And you're like telling them there must be a mistake.
They already know it's a mistake.
I would have just said, okay, let's go.
They already know it's a mistake. I mean, I even got my paperwork there, and they don't know what's going on, and they literally call the state of Texas, and the state of Texas says, release him. He's now a liability. He's not the property of the state of Texas anymore. Get him out.
So you get out, and then we're running out of time. The first thing the Lord says to you is what?
Walk. So I walked 300 miles back to Judge Bennett's court to turn myself in.
It takes a week to walk back.
Yeah. And she says, I've heard what you've been doing, because inmates have come to her and said, this guy had been reading to him and changed his life. And she goes, I don't want to get in the way. And so she forgave me, and she set me free. And she goes,
The day after you forgave.
The day after I forgave.
So you went to her and you said, I know that this is a mistake?
No, she told me to come back and see her when I got released after my 2-year sentence. So I showed up to go see her like she said.
And so when you walked up and she saw you, she had already had reports of good things you have done.
Yeah, and she had reports that I was out, and I showed up and turned myself in, and she set me free. And here's the thing is, she says, I want you to go pay it forward. And here I am, 8 years later, at Joni's table.
That is so cool.
Talk to that person that's struggling with addiction right now. We'll just take about 30 seconds. What would you say?
If you're struggling with addiction, here's what I challenge you to do is, number one is to get completely honest, all right? You know you have a problem, but simply do this. Say this, I don't know. Those 3 words, I don't know why I'm doing the things I'm doing, and I need help. Those right there is the most honest thing that you can say, and that way you can get help. Reach out to someone in recovery that can relate to you, and I challenge men work with men and women work with women, and ask those people, say, I want what you got, please help me.
That's right. And, you know, we've got a number on the screen, prayer partners that are standing by that would love to pray with you, encourage you. 1-800-329-0029. Well, we're out of time, but an amazing testimony. I want you to remember that no matter who you are, or what you've been through, or the brokenness you've experienced, doesn't matter. Jesus said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I'll give you peace. That's what some of you are looking for today. And Jesus is ready to meet you right where you are. And all it takes is this surrendered and open heart. So just like Michael said, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, but I need you. And just invite him in, just like he did. So I think all he said was like, okay, Jesus, come on in. I need you. And I mean, all that bad stuff came out and the love of God poured in, because that stuff can't remain if the love of God is inside of you, if Jesus is on the inside. So just ask him, Jesus, forgive me. Come into my heart today. Forgive me. And he will meet you right where you are. Well, if you're watching today and you need prayer, again, that prayer line number's on the screen. Prayer partners are standing by. If you did invite Jesus into your heart, if you ask him to forgive you today, if you prayed the most important prayer you'll ever pray in your whole life, we would love to send you the book of John. And that's just a great place to start in the Bible. And this is a new day. It's a new journey. Some of you are sitting there and you're a mess. And God's going to give you a message, okay?
Amen.
It's not too late. It's never too late. So do not give up. Reach out to the Lord today and allow him to touch you. Well, I do want to thank Michael for sharing his incredible testimony. For more, you can visit him online at m2therock.com. And as always, make sure to follow us on all social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for full episodes, exclusive content. Let us know how Table Talk is touching your life, because we love hearing from you. Of course, you can also listen to the Joni Table Talk podcast on all the major platforms. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go be on the M2 podcast.
Come on.
Michael.
Come on.
Well, thank you, ladies. Did y'all enjoy that?
Oh, yes.
So good.
Yes,
So I know you did as well. Hey, you be encouraged today, and it's never too late to begin again. Jesus loves you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today. Well, you know, there's always more to the story. If today's conversation stirred something in your heart, don't let it end here. Click on the next video to keep growing in faith and truth. And if you haven't yet subscribed, turn on the bell so you never miss a moment. Let's keep pressing in together.